Hey guys, welcome back to the Lorcana Lounge. This is Logan. We are going to go through a Ruby set review for Ursula's Return. We're going to go without Brandon today. We've been having some scheduling conflicts and haven't been able to arrange time together. So, just me, but I wanted to go ahead and try and get through these Ruby cards. So, first card is going to be card 103. It is the Beast Wounded. He is a 3-cost inkable with 2 strength and 6 willpower. That Quest for 2 is an uncommon that says this character enters play with 4 damage. So it's effectively a 3-cost inkable that comes in as a 2/2 questing for 2. Not bad. I think this will be not bad. I think this will be good in some Ruby Amber decks that have a decent amount of healing, which there's plenty Amber at the moment that does some healing. Can be a nice way to go ahead and get some beefier characters on the board. You know, if you drop this on turn 3 and then drop your Rapunzel on turn 4, that'll be pretty good. So I like it. It definitely has a place in some decks, not all decks. But if you've got enough healing that you can make this reliable, I think it's pretty good. 104. Binja Bold Uniter. He is a 4-cost inkable that has 5 strength and 3 willpower that quests for 1. He is a common. Kind of a pretty vanilla card. Anymore with the locations and some of the effects that are going on, having a 5 strength character can be pretty valuable just to clear some bigger characters off the board. He's okay. I would, if you need some more punching power, he's a decent answer to that. But in red, there's typically enough ability to pump your characters that I think I would prefer to have something that I could buff up to get to 5 rather than have something that's going to be pretty easily traded off. 105, Fa Zhao. 2-cost inkable, 0 strength with 4 willpower. Quest for 1, it's common, that says this character can't challenge, and then you may exert this character and ready a chosen character named Mulan, and she can't quest for the rest of this turn. I don't think I like this. This is Fa Zhao's Mulan's father. I forgot to read the subtitle there. I don't care for this too much. The fact that he's only questing for 1 and is only more valuable than that if you have a character named Mulan means this is too circumstantial for me. I just don't think this is going to be valuable enough. I just generally don't think it's good enough. I'm trying to picture through with there's one of the new red Mulans is pretty strong, but I still don't think it's that valuable. We'll get to it in a minute. 106 is Flynn Rider Frenemy. Flynn is a 2-cost inkable with 2 strength and 2 willpower. Quest for 1, super rare, that says at the start of your turn, if you have a character in play with more attack than each opposing character, gain 3 lore. Interesting. I remember seeing this in the draft tournament. Just remember where I remember seeing it. I think that this is interesting. So it's going to be at the start of your turn, so you have to have a character that's not buffed up. I think this makes the character just a few cards ago, Binja, a bit more valuable. Because you just need to have a naturally large character. So something like a Rafiki that has Challenger 3 that won't help here. And gaining 3 lore at the beginning of your turn can be pretty big. And that is essentially makes this potentially a 4 lore character that costs 2. If you have any sort of reliable method to get that benefit, that is huge. That is huge. I could see some people just this is the type of brewing, like deck brewing I like to do, where I find a card like this and I'll just go, I want to find a way to make this really good. So I think there's ways to make it good. I don't know that it'll necessarily ever become meta, but it could be in some fun decks that could be kind of fun to brew and catch some people off guard with. Interesting. 107. Goofy Super Goof. He is a 4-cost inkable that is a 2/4 with Rush that quests for 1 and is a rare that says whenever this character challenges another character, gain 2 lore. I feel like this is a little bit too weak. This is another one of those types of cards that allows you to play it and gain some more lore and catch your opponent off guard, which I do appreciate. I do like those cards. But a 2/4 rush isn't a lot, especially for 4 ink. So really it's coming down to the having the gain 2 lore. I haven't played much with this card. I have played it in the Ursula's Quest, which I just did a stream the other day on that, where I played through it, not using this deck, but this Goofy is in that deck, and I often felt like the 2/4 was just never enough. 2 strength, I always wanted more than 2 strength, and 4 willpower was felt like I didn't have much I could rush into or run into. So unless you have some really good buffing mechanics to either give Goofy Challenger or just increase attack some other way, I think this is generally not strong enough unless you have some reliable methods to pump them. 108. Hercules Clumsy Kid. He is a 3-cost uninkable, 3 attack, 3 willpower, quest for 1 with Rush, and is a common. It's okay. 3/3 is a decent stat line. The Rush obviously can be nice. Catch your opponent off guard when you need, if you get the timing right. Not great, not horrible. The fact that it's uninkable means that I can think of a lot of other uninkables I'd rather run than this. But if you need some cheap removal, this isn't the worst. But my brain looks at this and compares it to something like Smash. This is obviously better as long as you're punching into like a 2/3 that would allow Hercules to stay on the board. But if you're just going to trade it off, Smash is a lot better and inkable. So not very strong. But I don't know of a lot of red removal that you could run at a 3-cost to have some quick answers. So definitely in some decks this may be your best option, but definitely not across the board. 109. Hercules Daring Demigod is a 5-cost uninkable that is a 7 strength, 3 willpower, uncommon with Rush and Reckless. I think this is a worse Maui Hero to All. That being said, he's a budget one, so if you can't afford to or can't get your hands on the first chapter Maui, that's a 5-cost inkable 6/5, I think, with Rush and Reckless, then you can get this one in. Having the extra strength can be nice for punching some of the locations off the board. It doesn't become reliant on Maui's fishhook. But I think generally between the two, I would rather have Maui's fishhook just because it's more versatile with it being inkable and has more staying power with a couple more willpower. Let's see here. 110. Khan Beloved Steed. Very vanilla card. It's a 2-cost inkable with 3 strength and 2 willpower. Quest for 1. It's uncommon. Very vanilla. 3/2. Punches some stuff, but dies really easy. Kind of a typical 2-coster. 111. Speaking of vanilla, Li Shang, General's Son, 1 cost inkable. It's a 2/2, quest for 1, common. It's your staple 2 cost. I don't know if Li Shang shifts into anything, but it's a stitch. It's a ruby stitch. 112. Li Shang, Valorous General, Speak of the Devil. 3 cost inkable, 3 strength, 2 willpower. That does have a shift. Quest for 1. The shift cost is discard a character card. And the card says your characters with 4 attack or more get +1 lore. Interesting. So we have a 1 cost 2/2 that can turn into a 3/2 by discarding a character card. And then it buffs up the lore of all of your 4 attack characters. With some of the cards that I've seen that just like broadly buff your characters, I actually like this quite a bit. There's enough 3 attacked characters, and then there are some new characters that are just like your hero cards get +1 attack, or your all other characters get +1 attack. That would make them all have 4 attack and give them all +1 lore. Means that this can be really valuable and could really catch some people off guard, especially with only needing 1 ink and a character card. If to potentially get this down, obviously you need to have both Li Shangs in your hand to do that. Even at a 3 cost, it's relatively cheap, and I feel like that's a pretty strong effect. I think this is pretty strong for an uncommon. I like it. I think a lot of people are going to be trying out some different hero decks with what all I've seen. Let's see, 113. We're going to blast through these as quick as we can. Speak of the Devil. Your other characters get +1 attack. Look at that stat line. So is Lumiere, Fiery Friend. He is a 2 cost inkable with 2 strength and 2 willpower. Quest for 1. It's a rare. And it says your other characters get +1. So this is one of the cards that I was talking about that I think can be really good with the Li Shang, this Li Shang. Because it's worth noting this Li Shang also says your characters with, not your other characters with 4 attack get the lore. So he makes all characters get an extra lore, including himself. I think paired with this Lumiere can be really big. You don't have Lumiere on play, you have it in your hand. Your opponent sees you have a lot of 3 attack characters, you drop Lumiere, and now everything quests for an extra lore. I like it. I think just having an extra strength makes everything punch above its weight class, which is nice. I like these. And obviously, if you can take these out, I think they're pretty valuable targets to attack. But if I'm playing this card, I'm probably going to try to protect it as best I can, because he doesn't have a whole lot. His main value is your other characters get +1 attack. So, 114. On to the next. Mulan Elite Archer. It's a 6 cost inkable, 2/6. That quests for 2 and is legendary. So this is our first legendary of Ruby. Mulan has a shift cost of 5, and then says straight shooter. When you play this character, if you used shift to play her, she gets +3 attack this turn. And then triple shot. During your turn, whenever this character deals damage to another character in a challenge, deal the same amount of damage to up to 2 other chosen characters. That is obviously very, very valuable. But I'm a little bit. It's a really good comeback mechanic, but generally speaking, you're hoping as a red player, I feel like the control side, you're not usually wanting to get to that point where your opponent has 3 characters in play that you need answers for. This can be good to catch up if you've fallen behind and you need to start clearing off their board. Being able to shift a Mulan on, which would make this Mulan a 5 attack character, 5/6, and then being able to buff it even once or twice, making it a 7 or 8 attack, means you can pretty much one-shot 3 characters off the board. So even if Mulan immediately dies, can still be plenty of value. So, deserving of the legendary rarity. Definitely, it's very good. 115, Mulan, Enemy of the Entanglement. Enemy of Entanglement. It is a 2-cost inkable, 1 strength, 3 willpower, quest for 1, uncommon that says whenever you play an action, this character gets +2 attack this turn. In the Deep Trouble quest deck, I don't feel like this is very good, but I think this could be good in a deck that's kind of more action heavy, which there are plenty of those. So I think if you can get have enough actions to be able to get this +2 attack off a time or two is good, and then this is a decent shift target for the Mulan that we just looked at that can shift on. Even if you only get to attack once with this, I think that can be okay. I don't think it's great, but you can make good use of it. 116, Mulan, Injured Soldier, 1-cost inkable. That is a 2/3 quest for 1 that says this character enters play with 2 damage and is a common. I think this is okay. This is effectively a 2/1 when it comes into play. It's good to have a 1-drop. I think any 1-drop's better than no 1-drop, and this one's okay. It'll work as a shift target for the big Mulan. Again, we saw the Beast as the first card. If you've got some healing that can trigger this to heal her back up, that's some extra value. I think it's okay. This can also end up getting punched off by like a 1/3 1-drop or a there's a bunch of cards that have 1 strength. So if you can't get this healed up in time, it's very easy to be dealt with. So it's not great. It's a 1-drop. 117. Namari, Heir of Fang. It is a 3-cost uninkable, 2 strength, 3 willpower. Quest for 1 with that is a rare that says during your turn, whenever this character deals damage to another character in a challenge, you may deal the same amount of damage to another chosen character. So this is basically a baby Mulan. Mulan is a 2/6 that does her damage to 2 other characters. Namari is a 2/3 that does her damage to 1 other character. I still think this is pretty valuable. This not being shiftable, though, does mean that you've got to get it in play, get to your next turn, and your opponent can kind of have an opportunity to try and do something about it. Either give you no attack, giving you no targets to attack, no targets to challenge, meaning that this Namari is easier to play around for your opponent. But I still think it can be fairly valuable. I think 3 costs uninkable, though, probably means this doesn't get any play, at least not consistently. 118, Nessus, River Guardian. 6-cost inkable, 7 strength, 5 willpower. Quest for 2 and is an uncommon. I generally think this is just too expensive to be consistent. For 6 cost, I can think of some other characters that I would rather see at 6 cost than this 7/5. But 7/5 questing for 2 can be annoying, and maybe this is something you would be able to play to suck out some removal to protect some of your other characters. I don't know. Probably not something I'm gonna run. Yeah, I don't feel like it's very strong. 119, Noi, Acrobatic Baby. 4 cost, inkable, 4 strength, 4 willpower. Quest for 1, super rare that says whenever you play an action, this character takes no damage from challenges this turn. Obviously can be really strong. I think this is easy to overvalue, probably. You're likely not going to be playing actions every turn. and you're only, if you play an action, unless you can re-ready this character a time or two, you're only going to punch probably one character off anyway. Although if you do have some ready mechanics to re-ready the Noi, this could get pretty nasty pretty quickly. To be able to punch into 2 or 3 targets, especially if you can buffer up first, that would be really fun. That's the type of mechanic that I could see if I can find a way to exploit. But it's okay. 120, Pegasus Flying Steed. 2 cost inkable. That's 3 strength with 1 willpower. Quest for 1 and is evasive. I like this 3-1 stat line. I think this is can be really nice for dealing with some of the evasive characters if you've got as a good defense to that. It's okay. It's not great, but it's not bad. You're obviously only using it to punch off some evasives, but there's enough evasives, I think, in the meta right now that having some answers like this are kind of needed. These may get run just to be able to clear some off. 121, Rhea Fierce Protector, 3 cost inkable that has 3 strength, 3 willpower. Whenever this character challenges another character, gain 1 lore for each other damaged character you have in play. Quest for 1 and is a super rare. It's interesting. This can play into the Mulan and the Beast that both come into play with damage. This is an interesting one. One I haven't thought too much. This is the first time I've seen it, so a lot of times these are the first times I've seen these cards. It's interesting. Obviously, might be. No, I think I was trying to think through the move damage around, so I think all of the characters and all the cards that I can think of that allow you to just move damage are move damage from a chosen character to chosen opposing character, so you wouldn't be able to, for example, move some damage onto one of your characters to gain an extra lore that way, naturally. This feels pretty unreliable to me. The text on the card feels pretty unreliable to me, and a 3 cost 3/3 that quests for 1 isn't very strong or very valuable to me. So I don't think this is very good. I think that if somebody plays it against me and pulls it off, I'm gonna be disappointed and impressed. Yeah, I think it's just too unreliable though to be something you can really count on. 122, Rhea, Guardian of the Dragon Gem, is a 4 cost inkable with 3 strength and 3 willpower that quests for 2 and says when you play this character, ready chosen character of yours at a location, they can't quest for the rest of this turn. I don't think that's too bad. I think that could be good. I really think for the value, to get the value, you're probably going to want to get that text to pop off. So you're going to have locations in play. You're going to have characters at locations that are exerted to get that value. I think in a location heavy deck, or a deck that's at least location heavy enough, I think you could make this consistent enough to work, and be valuable. So the 3/3 stat line that can quest for 2 isn't bad. So I think this is okay to me. I like it. All right. 123, Sisu, Daring Visitor, 3 cost uninkable, 1/1 with evasive. Quest for 1 and says when you play this character, banish chosen opposing character with 1 attack or less. I'm not a fan of this one. I think that a 3 cost 1/1 that quests for 1 is atrocious. That is absolutely horrible. Evasive or not, doesn't matter. It's still really bad. And I think it is too inconsistent to reliably hit the Banish a Chosen character with 1 attack or less. And the fact that this is uninkable makes it unplayable. If it was inkable, you might be able to convince me to just ink it when I didn't need it. But I don't think I'll be playing this. 124. Sisu Emboldened Warrior, 3-cost inkable with 1 strength and 4 willpower. That gets Quest for 2, rare, that says this character gets +1 attack for each card in opponent's hands. That'll be insane in a group game. In traditional, I think it's okay. I think it's interesting. Generally players, you really want to try to avoid getting to a top deck situation, so you're generally going to have some cards in hand. Your opponent has a bit of ability to manipulate Sisu's power on their turn, though. So if you've been questing with Sisu and your opponent is planning to deal with it, they may be able to just dump their hand some, then swing into Sisu, and then, next turn draw their hand back up, or even after dealing with Sisu, draw their hand back up. But I think that's a reasonable stat line. I don't think this is necessarily going to be a super consistent, like a frequently played card. But I think its stat line and the fact that a Quest for 2 means it's a card that your opponent's going to want to deal with. 1-4 is a okay stat line. Because obviously most of the time it's going to be probably like a 3-4-ish. If your opponent's got 2 cards in hands, it's like a 3-4. Especially if you can start getting some things that just naturally buff the characters, such as like the Lumiere and some other things. It's okay. I think this could be could get some play. 125. Sisu Empowered Sibling, 8-cost uninkable, 5 strength, 4 willpower, Quest for 3, and is legendary. The Sisu has shift cost of 6 and says when you play this character, banish all opposing characters with 2 attack or less. This is really expensive. 8-drop uninkable stings quite a bit, but banishing all opposing characters with 2 attack or less is really good, and having a Quest 3 makes it that much better. I don't think this is likely not going to be run as a 4-of. I can't imagine it being run as a 4-of, but I definitely think this could be a staple for a couple of in the deck. So this is our second legendary for Ruby for the set. Yeah, I think this will get a decent amount of play. I like it. There are enough cards at 2 or less to make it pretty good. I think 1 or less there's another card. I think it was the other Sisu that was a character with 1 attack or less, and I just don't think there's enough of those to be reliable. I don't know that even this with 2 attack or less, even if you only get 1 or 2, I think it's really good. If you get 0, even at 0, it's not horrible getting a 3 lore character out. Obviously the 5-4 stat line isn't very good if you don't get any value off the banishing all opposing characters with 2 or less, but 3 lore characters are pretty uncommon and become very high priority for your opponent to deal with. 126. Tong Survivor, 4-cost uninkable, 3 strength, 6 willpower, and reckless. I don't think this has has much value to it. Obviously 3/6. 6 is a big booty on it, big stat line there. But with it being uninkable 4 cost, I think it's just a little bit too much. I think it's just costs a little too much, not quite enough value for me to be super excited to be playing it. 127. Tuck Tuck Lively Partner. 3 cost inkable, that is 2 attack and 3 willpower. Quest for 1 is a rare. Evasive, and says when you play this character, you may move him and one of your other characters to the same location for free. The other character gets +2 attack this turn. That is interesting. So the way I value pretty much all the cards is I look at their stat lines first. So a 3 cost 2/3 evasive that quests for 1 isn't very good. 2/3 evasive is okay. A lot of the evasives are really valuable when they quest for more than 1. Him only questing for 1 with a, in my opinion, kind of lackluster stat line is okay. It may be enough that he can just challenge a couple of the evasives and be okay. But with this stat line, if you can make good use of that, making sure you have a location in play, you have a character that's not at a location, or not at least not at that location, and then being able to play Tuck Tuck to move that character to a location and get an extra attack on that, like extra strength on that character this turn, that can be, if you can pretty consistently get that off, if you've got enough low-cost characters and you've got locations in play that you can take your characters to, that can catch some people off guard pretty well. I think this is a good kind of gotcha card, and I could see that getting some use. 128. A Pirate's Life. It's our first action of Ruby. It is a song, 6 cost inkable that is uncommon. Sing together 6, and it says each opponent loses 2 lore, you gain 2 lore. That does not seem like very much for 6 ink. Doesn't seem very valuable for 6 inks. Generally, I think in a group game, if you're building a deck for a bigger 4-player game or something, this might be worth it. Otherwise, 6 cost feels way too expensive for this. 129er. Be King Undisputed. 4 cost uninkable song. Rare that says each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. So this is a 4 cost Lady Tremaine without the body. I tend to like these quite a bit. These types of cards you can often, hopefully, especially with red, you can force your opponent into not having a choice, right? They've only got 1 character on the board and they have to get rid of the 1. That's a great way to get away from things or get around ward mechanics. I think at 4 cost, this is really pretty good. Songs are great because you can get them on the board without having to spend ink for them. I like this a lot, frankly. Play a Lady Tremaine, then sing this the next turn. I like it. I like it a lot. 130. 130. Brawl. Banish chosen character with 2 attack or less. 3 cost inkable. It's just a plain old action. I don't think this has enough value. I haven't, until I see enough characters with 2 attack or less that are valuable enough for me to spend my whole turn 3 like removing them. I don't think this type of card is gonna work. I think generally speaking, I would rather have something that just does some damage than try to banish based off of 2 attack or less. Generally, I I reserve the right to change my mind as we explore more into the set, or I start playing more and having problems. This may be something that I would, sideboard in, but generally speaking, I just don't think it's there yet. 131, Imperial Proclamation. Call to the front. It's an item, 1 cost inkable, rare, that says, whenever one of your characters challenges another character, you pay 1 ink less for the next character you play this turn. This is interesting. Whenever one of your characters challenges another character, you pay 1 ink less for the next character you play this turn. So what I'm trying to think of is if I have 3 characters on board and I attack with all 3 of them, does this make your next character cost 3 less? I'm going to assume it does. There's nothing in there that says, that strikes me like once per turn whenever one of your characters challenges another character. So I think this can be really good. I think as a 1-drop, this is a really nice 1-drop to have for red. Even if you have 2 or 3, I could see playing some really cheap cost characters with the just expecting to get this off to drop like the Sisu or something off early. That's a really cool card. I bet you that it's not going to get a ton of play, but in the right decks, this would be really good. And I like it. This is the type of card that I would build around. 132, Medallion Weights. It is a 2 cost inkable item that says exert and pay 2 ink. Chosen character gets +2 attack this turn. Whenever they challenge another character this turn, you may draw a card. I really like this. It's a nice draw engine. 2 ink for 2 attack is nice enough, and then you get to also draw a card. I think this has a lot of value. This will get quite a bit of play for red. Consistent card draw is always welcome. 133, the Plank. It's an item, 3 cost, uninkable, that says pay 2 ink and banish this item to choose one. You can either banish chosen hero character or ready chosen villain character, and they can't quest for the rest of this turn. I don't really like this. So there are a lot of hero characters in the game. This, in my mind, the way I'm doing the math for this equates to a 5 cost banish a chosen hero character or 5 cost ready a chosen villain character. At a 5 cost banish chosen hero character, it is just a worse Dragonfire because it only hits heroes instead of anybody, any chosen character. The flexibility to ready a villain character doesn't seem that valuable to me, like as far as to make it a 5 cost. Yeah, I don't really care for this. 134, Vitalisphere. It is an item, 1 cost inkable, that says pay 1 ink and banish this item. Chosen character gains rush and gets +2 attack this turn. I have not been liking this card in the times that I have seen it. But I think I may have been just not in the right situations. I've been seeing it the most when I've been playing against the Ursula deck, and that is a weird type of game. So it's a weird game mode that's not as consistent as you would maybe see in a regular game. I think obviously the +2 attack is nice. 1 cost to give something rush can be very valuable. I didn't care for the fact that this is kind of like a 2 cost to get rush and +2 attack. It's a one-time use thing. It's just like an action card. But given some of the other effects, obviously, putting this on the Mulan that can do extra damage, putting this on the Namari that can do extra damage, using it in conjunction with the Li Shang, or I believe is what the character was, that gives 4 characters with 4 attack or more +1 lore. This can trigger that ability. This has more use cases than I have previously seen, now that I've seen more of Red. So I think this probably is more valuable than I had previously given credit, but it's still a little bit hard for me to value. This may be a decent 1-drop to have. I still, if you compare this 1-drop to Popsicle, though, I feel like Popsicle is so much better because it's a 1-drop inkable, also allows you to draw a card, and you don't have to pay 1 when you banish it to heal a character. So, obviously it's hard to compare a red item to blue because they're not the same, but I'm kind of on the fence. I would have initially said that this was simply bad. Now I'm a bit more hedging my bets. This may have enough application to be decent. 135, Snuggly Duckling. It is a 2-cost inkable location that's a rare and says costs 2 to move here, has 9 willpower, and says whenever a character with 3 attack or more challenges another character while here, gain a lore. If the challenging character has 6 attack or more, gain 3 lore instead. And does not have any passive lore on it. It's locations like these that make the Tuk Tuk real good, right? So if you have this out and you can use Tuk Tuk to roll somebody over to this location for free, Tuk Tuk and that character are at this location for free. Tuk Tuk gave them +2 attack, so the chances are they're at least going to have 3 attack if they don't have 6. And they're going to give you some extra lore just for attacking. I like it. I think this fits into the red theme really well. I think that red needs to have, if you're going to be trying to rely on punching and attacking so much, you're going to need to have some mechanics that allow you to exhaust or exert your opponent's characters, because those types of decks can tend to get shut down by your opponent just not exerting their characters. If you can't hit a ready character, you can't do your fun stuff, and they just play until they have 20 lore worth of characters on the board, which they're going to do faster than you are because all of your characters are really designed around punching things. It's interesting. I think if it'd be fun to build a deck around that, but I don't know how consistent you'd be able to make it. 136, Training Grounds. 1-cost inkable location. Move there for 1, 5 willpower. Common. That says pay 1 ink. Chosen character gets +1 attack this turn. Strength of Mind. I just didn't realize this when I had played against this card before, or played this card before. That does not rely on the character being at this location. No, it does. It does. I'm sorry. Chosen character here gets +1 attack this turn. Okay. So I did just misread it this time. I didn't misread it before. So I think this is okay at best. I feel like it's a little bit too weak of a card in willpower. I think it's a little too easy for your opponent to deal with. At 5 willpower, it's just too easy to punch. So obviously being able to pay 1 ink repeatedly to buff up a character is pretty nice, but your opponent can probably see that coming pretty easily and just punch it off the board with only 5 attack. So not quite strong enough, I don't think. And that brings us to the end of Ruby. Interesting set, very focused around the attacking this time, and I like the increased focus on buffing up the characters this time. It seems like there's more effects in red that are just straight up give this character extra attack or punch more things when you punch one thing. I like it. It'll be interesting. Tell me, what was your favorite card? What do you think about Ruby this set? Are you looking forward to building it? There any current build arounds you're looking at that you're excited to explore and see what you can do with? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.